So yeah, I was not doing a lot of stuff, and I was probably doing things that were making the situation worse, like suppressing emotion, telling myself negative self talk. Um, yeah, all these kind of things that don't help, ruminating thoughts. And because I didn't know, like nobody teach you that kind of stuff.
Hey, welcome back to Normalize the Conversation. Today I'm here with Ryan Borne, filmmaker and photographer, raising awareness internationally on why we should save the ocean. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today and for wanting to share your story with us. How are you really?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure, and I really want to have like I'm really grateful to have these opportunities now, like to share my story, and I think it can help a lot of people. And I'm feeling pretty good right now. Yeah, I've been going through a lot of growth, emotional growth, spiritual growth, a lot of stuff. Even like this past weekend, very interesting experiences. But yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm excited for what's coming next. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I am so glad that you're feeling good and you're experiencing so much growth in so many different avenues and areas because
Yeah.
that's where true change happens. That's where the awareness
Yeah.
or self-awareness or self-care or self-love all stems from, is that process of growth. So I'm really happy for you. And can you tell us a little bit about your mental health journey?
Oh my God. There's so much. Um, Actually, I recorded a podcast last week, and that's where I realized how dense, how much things, and so I got lost into trying to tell everything. So yeah, I would love to dive into every single bit of it, but it would take probably like 10, 20 hours. But yeah, if you have anything specific in mind, maybe we can dive into it. But long story short, it's been a process. I've been going through the highest, like I've experienced like the high of the high, the low of the low, maybe even more low for now than the high, but very interesting experience in both cases. And yeah, I learned a lot along the way, and I think I see so much conversation and things that I feel the responsibility to share, especially for young people, because yeah, I think there's stuff that we don't talk about, and it's important, and there's no shame in it. It's actually like the opposite. Should be proud of it. So yeah, if you want to know any specific things, let's
We
dive into
should
it.
we should be proud of our journey and everything we go through because we're still standing. We're going through it and we're pushing through it and we're coming out the other end a little bit stronger each time. So you mentioned these highs and these lows. Can you tell me like an example of what the highs look like and what the lows look like so people could get kind of like a sense?
Yeah. Yeah, so the high of the high, the highest. Uh, I think it was like falling in love for sure. The most powerful. I've been lucky to do very powerful things in my life and things that not a lot of people have the chance to experience. Like a amazing time in the ocean with creatures like such as tiger sharks, which are my favorite, or like visiting these incredible places. And so this is definitely like very, very high, and it's amazing. But the falling in love for sure is the highest.
It sounds like you really did have great experience, and love can be such an amazing up. You kind of feel on top of the world and like everything's okay, but when that low hits, it's just even more devastating.
For sure. talking about the lows. um, After like falling in love, like maybe I overlooked some red flags, and I was also telling myself, you cannot be too picky, you just enjoy what you have. But yeah, I think now I know, and I learned a lot from it. It's probably the biggest lesson I had. But now I learned that, yeah, if it doesn't feel right, like don't overlook red flags or stuff like this. And so, yeah, betrayal and being lied to is probably the worst feeling ever. And this was like, yeah, probably the worst experience of my life. Also, I've spent a lot of time like depressed, like, yeah, depression. I had an amazing childhood, but I was very introvert, very insecure. So all my childhood was amazing when I look back, and I was super blessed, but I didn't enjoy it because I had too much insecurities, and yeah, I was not feeling good in my skin, especially through school, high school, and middle school. Yeah, those were the worst years of my life, I think. Yeah.
It sounds like you really went through a lot, and focusing in on those insecurities from high school and middle school, like you said, a lot of times I find, especially with men, we don't want to talk about insecurities. And having insecurities makes you weak, makes you vulnerable. So people feel ashamed of it and they don't talk about it. But would you mind sharing a few of those insecurities you had and where they stemmed from?
Yeah, for sure. When I was a kid, I was very, very introvert. I was kind of in my world, and other kids, like I was very skinny. I was a bit shorter than other kids, and so I felt insecure. And so it was for sure reflecting. Like other people can sense that, and especially like kids, we're so primal and it's instinctive. Like I think we're more open and in tune with like our senses when we're a kid. We don't have all these filters that get added as we grow up. And so, yeah, other kids can pick up on that. And then after, of course, they make fun of you. And so the snowball goes on and gets bigger and bigger. But yeah, I was insecure about the way I look, the way I came across, what other people think of me. Yeah, I was terrified to go, even just to go to school. I was terrified during high school. So I grew up in the Caribbean, so we can go to school up to middle school, but after you have to go somewhere else to go to high school. So I went to do my study in France. And I was in a boarding school, exactly, that's the word. And on the weekends, I would go to my aunt's house. So I left the house when I was 16, something like this. And I was terrified. Like the first days of school, I would throw up. I would like be such in a bad place. I think it was like, now I look back, I laugh, but it was not fun. It was not fun. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I know that can be really difficult to talk about, especially that anxiety. And at such a young age to go away from home at a point where you're so vulnerable because people are teasing you and they're bullying you and they're making you feel even worse than you already feel inside. And then to step away from that safety net of being home, it just feels overwhelming. So in those moments where you were throwing up before school, where you just felt overwhelmed, what did you do to kind of help yourself find that sense of calm to get through the school day?
Nothing. I think that's the thing, when you're in that kind of stuff in the beginning, and I was too proud to ask for help. I really thought I could handle all of that on my own, and it took me a long time before I actually agreed to ask for help. So yeah, I was not doing a lot of stuff, and I was probably doing things that were making the situation worse, like suppressing emotion, telling myself negative self-talk. Yeah, all these kind of things that don't help, ruminating thoughts. And because I didn't know, like nobody teach you that kind of stuff.
I think so.
Even, yeah. And it's not even like, I don't blame my parents, like they do the best they can and they love me a lot, but even our parents deal with the same things, so they're not always in the best position to help us. And also I was hiding all that stuff. I was always saying like, hey, I'm okay, I'm fine, but I was not fine. So it's super hard for them or for the people around to really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so even my mother, now she's a psychotherapist, doesn't mean anything, and she cannot be my therapist, but so she can advise me and stuff like this. But even I didn't want to have her help from her. I didn't want to listen to anybody. So yeah, it's a tricky situation in the beginning.
It is for sure, especially when you're starting to decline and you don't want to admit it to yourself. Yeah. And you feel kind of like you're crazy for feeling that way and no one else feels that way and you're maybe being dramatic. At least that's kind of how I felt. And I had that very same kind of situation. So my heart goes out to you. I would throw up before exams in school. I was so stressed about failing, about the comparison from me and the students around me. I wouldn't sleep. And I remember one of my roommates in college coming up to me and saying, what are you doing to yourself? Like, this is not healthy. And I blew it off because I was like, that's not me. I'm fine. And I wasn't. And I was afraid to reach out for help, just like you. And I think that's something that is so common, is that we're afraid to reach out for help because we don't want to feel weak. We don't want to seem weak, or we don't want to be a burden. There's so many different levels to it.
Yeah.
But at what point in your journey did you hit that turning point when you realized you needed to seek help?
Okay. I want to go back to some things you just said, which I think is so important. And so you see, you can relate to what I said. You can relate to what I said. I can relate to what you said. And if we never talk about it and share it, that's not helping anything. So that's why I think it's so powerful and important, like to have this kind of conversation and make them public. So yeah, it's very nice. And on like another hand, what's very interesting to realize and what is game changer really is to realize that everybody you see, every people you think that they have all their, you realize that all the people around you, even the people you think they have their stuff together, they're scared of the same thing, even more things than you sometimes. And really realize that is game changer. And so you realize that we're all in the same boat, and so there's no shame to have, and there's like nothing to hide, basically. Because even like the thing you feel like, oh my god, this is so shameful, or this is like so personal, like we're all humans, like come on, like it's there's no shame, like there's nothing dramatic to, in the most case, maybe extreme cases, and even I don't really believe in that. Like I think there's nothing that you cannot talk about, and that's and nothing that you should not talk about. It's very important. And
I agree. I think that if we didn't talk about it, we would still feel alone, and we would feel like no one else out there understands, and that we should feel ashamed of ourselves. But by talking about it, like right here, we both had a very similar experience, a shared kind of feeling and response that we may not know other people who have felt that way and have gone through that. So to know that someone else out there also had that same level of anxiety that made them physically sick gives me some reassurance that it wasn't all in my head. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't being dramatic. I was actually going through something, and it makes me feel seen and valid. And I think that's the key with mental health conversations. It makes you feel seen and understood. And for the first time, like, you're not the only one in the world going through this.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So let's go back to that point in your journey when you realized you needed to seek help. What was that point?
Took a long time. It was pretty recently, yeah. It was beginning of this year, 2021. I had hit the wall a couple of times. So the things that I'm most grateful for my age is to have so young, like, first of all, realized a lot of my dream because it's amazing, but also to realize that it's not what's gonna bring you, it's not like the end, it's not the destination. It's not like oh, you realize your dreams and then it's over, like you won the game of life or whatever. It's amazing, and it's worth it. I think it's the only thing that's worth like really pursuing in life, like not the only one, but very, very important, like in the top ones. And also I'm very grateful to have experienced like hard times very young, and that forced me to take time with myself, because I see a lot of young people and they can say, oh, but you're lame, or like you gotta enjoy life. But of course you gotta enjoy life and do other things and spend time with other people. But I think the balance is so messed up right now, and people they never want to be alone with themselves, and it's a big mistake in my opinion. The right balance is spending time with like the people you love and seeing people and interacting, but it's 50-50, and you should always have like a time with yourself to learn, grow, reflect, ask yourself the right question, check in, because the only person you really need love from is yourself. Takes a long time to realize, but it's really like the foundation, like the key. You cannot take care of other people or love other people if you don't take care of yourself first.
Exactly. And it's hard to find relationships that are for you, that are long-standing, because when you don't love yourself and you feel insecure, you're more likely to be around people that make you feel that same way because you think you deserve it. You feel that, or you often feel that you don't deserve to be happy, which isn't true. So without that self-love and learning to be okay alone and in silence, you kind of end up in situations that hurt you and make you feel even worse. But I'm so happy that you did reach out for help in the beginning of this year. And look at you 10 months later, 9 months later, talking about it and sharing your story, because that is so powerful to have come so far. But in those moments, I think a lot of people feel afraid when they first reach out. Did you have any of those feelings of being afraid, or what was that like for you when you reached out for help?
So yeah, there's so much things I want to talk about, and my mind is going like, but but yeah, to really answer your question, so I hit the wall another time, but like this time it feels so different, because it's very scary, because I'm like, first of all, since the last time I thought I would never hit the wall again, which is something every time like you go back and you feel bad and you start to feel better, you're like, okay, it's over, I will never feel that feeling again. Which I'm not saying that you should expect to feel it again, but just monitor yourself. Just don't be like, just, oh, it's okay, I don't have to worry about myself or take care of myself because I will never feel that way again. You will never feel that way again if you you're careful and you keep yourself in check and all the things. But so yeah, I was in very, very bad place, and was even scarier because I thought I would never be there again. And I felt like I had tried everything, and a part of me was like, but why are you complaining? Like, you have your dream job, you have millions of people would be like lining up to do what you get to do every day and experience the things. In a sense, yes, but if they experience the things I experienced, they have to get the whole package. So it means like also the burden and the things like this. But yeah, I was feeling bad for feeling bad, and I was feeling very scared because I thought I had tried everything, and so I was contemplating death, to be honest. And it was not the first time. It was not the last time. But yeah, you just come to a place where it's not even, you're just tired, and I don't have limiting or negative belief about death. I'm not scared of death. I am scared of dying, which is very different, and I think it's the majority of people. Because if we think about it for a second, like, how can you be scared of death? We don't even know what it is. Like, nobody tell us to. And the few research I made on the topic, and trying to hear the stories of people who had near-death experience, and they describe something very positive, and something like that sometimes I can look forward to. Like, I don't want to die, but also I'm not stressed too much about like dying, because in my mind I choose to believe that if I die, I will see all my loved ones, or I will go to, like, another world or whatever. I don't have any specific religion. I really believe in nature. Like, I think it's what brings me joy and comforts me. So it's not like religion, but it's just like a huge respect for nature and like the world we live in. But yeah, so I was in this very bad place, and I was like, and then my mother now, she knows that sometimes I'm not feeling well, and all the people around me, they knew, because now I was not hiding it, because I had done a lot of work on myself, and I was more open and vulnerable. Like, I was okay to share and to show my feelings, and she told me, you should reach out to, you should see a therapist, just try. And so it was hard on. It took me a lot of, I was just feeling like, no, I don't need that. I was feeling a bit of shame, but I just reached out. And yeah, I went, and I went there for 5 months, maybe something like this, twice a week. I really like invested in myself, because it's funny. I don't think it's really expensive. Like, so many people, they spend their money in things that they don't really need or what. So now I have no problem investing in myself, and I think everyone should invest in themselves, and like, don't, like, you can always like remove some pleasure, or like buy less stuff, or and invest money into yourself and your well-being, because I think it's the key. So I went there for 4 or 5 months, and it helped me a lot. I'm not gonna say it's doing everything, like, people have to take the responsibility. Like it's not the wrong way to approach it. Is like, I'm going to go to the therapist and he's going to take care, or she's going to take care of all my problems. And so I don't have to worry about it. No, the person there, the therapist, is just here to guide you and help you do your own work to get better. He's not going to solve, like, he's another human being. He has also stuff to deal with and other problems, you know, but he's here to guide you and help you do your own work, because at the end of the day, you have, like, it's yourself. You have to take the responsibility and do the work. No one's going to do it for you.
Exactly. No one's going to do the work for you. And thank you for sharing all of that with us. First of all, it is so important that you brought up getting to that feeling again and thinking you're never going to feel that way again, because you may feel that way again. And that doesn't mean that something's wrong with you, or that you haven't grown or haven't healed at all or haven't moved forward. It just means that you're human, and certain situations or experiences or memories can trigger those feelings again. A lot can trigger it. Sometimes you might not even know what triggered it, and that is okay. I think a lot of us have this idea that we go in for help when we're feeling low, and then we're suddenly going to feel better and things are starting to look up a little bit, and we're never going to feel that way again. So we don't have to continue anymore. We feel better. We don't need therapy anymore. We don't need self-care. We don't need any of it. But that's not true. We're always going to need something to help us feel good, whether it is therapy or coping mechanisms or self-care routines, exercise, hydration, healthy diet. There's so many different factors at play, and finding the right mix for you for that maintenance of your mental and physical health is so important. And like you said, investing in yourself. It is huge to make that investment. A lot of people may not be able to afford that investment or access it due to long wait times or lack of infrastructure that supports finding a therapist. But you can invest time. You can't invest the money, invest the time. Make some time in the morning or at night, or even a minute during your day, and practice deep breathing. Get a journal and write it down. Follow different accounts on social media, maybe some therapists who give you insight and resources. Reach out to the crisis hotlines. Those are all free things that you can do to help yourself, to be there for yourself, to show up for yourself. Because if we aren't there for ourselves, no one can be. Even our therapists, like you said, they're a guide. They can't do the work for you. Only you can do it. So you have to make the time.
Exactly. Beautifully resumed.
So let's dive deeper into your recovery. You said you went to therapy twice a week. What did you really learn in therapy? What tools did you use outside of therapy that have helped you get to this point?
That's a tough question. Right now, like this, I don't really know. I'm gonna be very honest. Like, it's different for every person, but I think therapy helped me a lot. But it was not what helped me the most, I think. But it helped me a lot. Don't get me wrong. It was very. I needed it. It was. I could not have done without it. But it's not what was game changer for me, and really got me out of it. But it really helped. So I would say that the baseline, don't even think about doing anything else, in my opinion. And don't even think about doing anything else if you don't have like these three things already, like, kind of going, like working. You already work on that, which is exercise, like exercise. It's not only for your physical body, but also for your mind. It's so powerful, and it helps a lot, especially if you're like insecure. So yeah, workout, you start to look better, you feel better, and ultimately like you perform better in every area of your life. A game changer, which I started like this year, is very pay attention to what do you put in your body. So what do you eat? Um, I really want people to get away with some things that they can really do. So if you want to work out, I can tell you quickly what I do, because that's what I know the best. So okay, you don't know how to get into it. You don't feel like doing it. First of all, like do it. Really realize that it's very important, and download an app called Freeletics. It's only body weight trainings, and it takes like an hour max, 30 minutes most of the time. You have no excuses because it's only body weight, and the minimum you need to have is a square of 2 meters by 2 meters, and that's it. Take care of your physical health, and and after even like you start looking better, and it's like a snowball effect. Like it starts like infusing all these area of your life. You're less insecure about the way you look, about all the things. Like yeah, it's one of the pillar. The other one is pay attention to what are you putting into your body. We tend to overlook that, but it's actually I would say the most important, the foundation. Like if you don't breathe, you die. So that's another topic we can talk about for hours, but breathing is so important, and being aware of how you breathe, and being careful of that. But if you don't eat or drink, you die also. So it's the fuel for your body. And it's pretty logic. The quality of the fuel you put in your body will define the quality of like your life in the end. And it's crazy because our society is not designed in for our well-being, and it's clearly not the priority, and I think it's clear that it's like to maximize profit, which is not good or bad, but we're not here to debate that. We're just here to realize that, acknowledge it, and yeah, come to the conclusion that the truth is society is not designed for our well-being. So all the food that are easy to get, that are very accessible and marketed very hard, are not healthy for you. If I had to break this down into one sentence, if you want to take care of your eating, like if you want to get your nutrition sorted out, if I resume everything all the research, the learning I've made on like the microbiome, the gut health, nutrition for sports and all that stuff, is eat. First of all, eat locally from a sustainable standpoint, but it's gonna be better for your health. Also, eat locally. If you eat far from the ocean, I'm sorry, but there's no point of eating fish that come from the ocean. You can eat maybe local fish from the river or a lake, if you have this near you. Yeah, eat locally. Adapt yourself to where you are, but very important is eat a majority of plant. I'm not saying you go vegan. I'm not for extreme veganism. I think there's a good balance to have. I want to have the best of every world, but eat a majority of plant, and a big diversity of plant. Also, eat a lot of fiber. Um, Game changer, very important. I don't, if you want to know all the why of the how, and there's like incredible podcasts and scientists talking about it, I'm not the person to discuss all of that, but I can tell you from my experience, and I tried it, and from all the research I've made, I try to synthesize everything for the people. So yeah, it's break it down to the simple steps. Eat fiber, eat a lot of plants, eat a diversity of plants, and sometimes maybe a little bit of fish or form of. I live on an island, so for me it's local fish, no meat, no red meat, no other meats, because they're not like, I don't know where they come from. Yeah, I think this is so important. It affects the quality of your thinking, and the quality of your thinking, you're gonna take better decision, make better action, and your life is gonna turn better just by taking care of what you eat. And I think now we make a big mistake. We think eating is about enjoying. It's first of all about like putting fuel into our body, and of course like tasting it for it to taste good, and it's important, but it's not the priority. And I think we have to relearn some of that things. On the eating, yeah, lots of fruits, plants. And the third thing that is, and it's also part of our society now, is want to make us think that we don't need it, but it's sleep. Once again, do your own research, but I don't have all the scientific explanation behind all of this, but it's game changer. It's probably like, some scientists say it's the number one thing, like for the health. And sleep, take care of your sleep enough, but sleep efficiently. Like maybe be careful about like your screen consumption before you go to sleep. Yeah, try to get your sleep sorted out. It's important that I break them down here, and if for people to listen, I think they really have to realize that it's like the foundation, and from a sane foundation, you can ask for help, start doing the work, and it's gonna make the whole process a lot easier.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing what has worked for you. I think a lot of people don't know where to start or what they can do for themselves. And you talked about 3 things that are really semi in our control. Our sleep is pretty much in our control depending on our schedule. It might be hard when you have a full family and you have work and so many things to balance. And exercise, making time to exercise may be difficult depending on how many things are on your plate, or being able to get outside or go to the gym, and just with that feeling of depression, or with, like you said, the cost of quality food. All of that can be so in our control and so far out of our control, depending on what resources we have access to in our time management. But those are major changes. And those are kind of the foundation that I found as well. For me, exercise is an amazing way to reduce my stress. When I get really upset, when I get really angry, when I get really overwhelmed, just running. And a lot of people don't like to run, but even if you walk for 5 minutes and just move your body, give your body a chance to release some energy, it can be very powerful. And I love what you said about food and what you put in your body. I'm a huge advocate for paying attention to what you put in, on, and around your body. Your environment can affect your mood and your mental health. And it's so important to realize that how we fuel our body is how we take care of ourselves. Our body's our home. And if we're not taking care of our home, we're going to cause these effects and these problems, especially within our own mental health and these declines. So like you said, exercise, sleep, and food are super important parts of mental health and maintenance of mental health. So I am curious, you've talked a lot about all of this information you've learned and about your story, but now that you know all of this, if you could go back in time to one moment in your life where your mental health was really on the decline, what would you tell yourself in that moment, knowing what you know now?
I know. But just before, I really want to say that actually, like the three things I just told you, on my side, I don't know for anybody else, but on my side, I found that eating healthy was actually the cheapest way of feeding myself that I ever tried, because it's, once again, it's like probably healthy, good tasting food may be more expensive, but a bag of lentils, it's probably the cheapest thing in the supermarket, at least in the supermarket where in French Polynesia, in Mora, but I think it's probably the cheapest thing you can find in all the supermarkets. So yeah, the like the base of like the lentils, the seeds, all that stuff, it's very cheap. So I really want to also show to people, even if they don't have the means, they don't have a lot of money. I don't earn a lot of money. I work in marine conservation. So yeah, there's, I really want them to see that there's opportunity for them. And even on working out, you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to have a lot of space or a lot of time. But at some point, you have to set yourself and your well-being a priority, because we give our power away so easily nowadays, and people don't realize that it's their responsibility to take care of themselves. And so yeah, and life is a choice. We are in control. This is our body, this is ours. We choose what do we put inside, and we choose how do we take care of it. And every time in life we take a decision, or we say, oh, I don't have the choice, I have this job, or what, I'm sorry, but you made the choice. Like you or like you say, I don't have the time, or we find all these excuses. But at the end of the day, really, or you continue, but you acknowledge and you say, okay, I continue to go to that job I don't like, or stay in a relationship I don't like, or do these things. But I do it because I choose it. Just know that you are choosing every single time, every single second of life. You are making choices. When you meet someone, or when you talk, have an interaction with someone, you're always in a choice. Like at this point in time, when I'm speaking to you, I make the choice to focus my attention on this conversation, or really, it's game changer. Like it's what helped me probably the most and empowers me the most, to realize that we are the captain. Like I had this sentence from the poem Invictus, which I love. It's, I am the master of my faith and the captain of my soul. And it's so empowering, and it's so true. We really have to take the responsibility and take ownership for where we are, and know that nobody's gonna come save us. We have to do the things. And so even like on the workout side, like you just need a 2 meter square by 2 meter, and you just do burpees, push-ups, whatever, get your body running, take care of your body. Yeah. So yeah, it's just to show people that they can say like, I don't have the time to work out, I have all that job or that thing, or I don't have the means to eat healthy, or I don't have the time to sleep. You're just not making the room for it to happen. And sometimes it's hard, like making choice is hard, because it's a choice. You have to say, when you say yes to something, you say no to other things. And sometimes it can be no to fun things, but because we have to also learn to to manage the relationship of pleasures. And I think now it's so imbalanced. Like we have to be aware of how do we regulate our pleasure intake, and those so-called pleasure that we have in that society tells us that they are pleasure, but I don't believe in that. You really have to ask yourself and know yourself, and don't let society tells you what you need or what you should do, and that's why you need to spend time alone, is to ask yourself those questions and do things because you really want it in you, and starting to dig out the most authentic person, the most authentic version of yourself. Because people are always like, I want to be unique. We're all already kind of unique, but not that much if we're caught up into society and the standards it try to implement on us. And I'm going to speak from an artist side, but like for any aspiring artist, it's the big question is, how can I stand out? How can I do things differently? It's so hard because there's the industry or is so crowded. There's so many people doing photography or drawing or music. But what they're missing is that they have to spend some time with themselves, try to know themselves, because themselves is unique, and the most authentic version of themselves, which you find through self learning and do the work on yourself. This most authentic version of yourself is the only thing that you have to offer. It's the only thing that you have to offer. All the other people have 2 hands and 2 arms, for the most people, of course. I don't discriminate, but yeah, the only thing you have to offer, and not only for artists, but it's just that artists can really relate to that, is your most authentic self and most vulnerable self and most honest self and most open self, because it's the only thing that's going to stand out. You're the only one with this journey and all these experiences and this combination of things. You're the story, basically. So yeah, sorry, I was a bit off your question, but I think it was so important to share. Very, very important. It's something that I really I'm working on right now, and I really realized, like, recently, this topic of like taking responsibility. And there's other stuff I can add, but I want to go back to your question, and if we have time, I can continue on that later.
So first of all, thank you for sharing all that, because it is so important. Authenticity is the root of who we are and who we want to be, and what energy we put out into the world and how we affect other people. And going back to what you said about choices, we are constantly making choices, and saying yes to one thing is saying no to something else. And I hope for everyone listening, you start to make choices with intention, that you're listening to yourself, that you're becoming aware of the choices you're making, and you're always making the choice to prioritize your mental health, because your mental health is important. You are important. We are running out of time, but before we wrap up, what is that one thing you would like to, if you could go back in time to a moment where your mental health was declining, and having all the knowledge you have now, what would you tell yourself? It's one thing. One thing. Okay, but if I only have one thing to say, I cannot really explain anything. So I would just grab that little buddy, hug him, and tell him, bro, get ready, because it's not gonna be easy, but it's gonna be worth it for sure. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff. But yeah, if I only can tell him one thing, that's only, don't give up. I love that. I absolutely love how you said it won't be easy, but it will be worth it, because I think that kind of summarizes all of our mental health journeys into a quick little phrase. it's never going to be easy. We might think it will. We might think we're going to wake up one day and suddenly feel happy and feel this idea of normal and feel okay. It's not how it works. It is going to be difficult. You're going to probably feel like giving up a billion times because it is hard and it is trying. It's exhausting. It's overwhelming, but it will be worth it as you start to come out the other end. Ryan, you have been absolutely incredible. Thank you so, so much for joining me today, for sharing your story and the tools that you've used and you've learned and the research and knowledge that you've gathered along the way.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me. It was so cool. I really enjoyed it.